pastime.
Yeah, I think they're together.
Hey, fresh off of calling Nick a peasant, it's not a pheasant. I'm sorry, call him a peasant, not a pheasant. Just want to clarify. KD has moved on to bigger fish. Started Monday with Barkley calling Durant a bus rider on the Warriors titles teams. Durant responded yesterday, posting these 4 images of Chuck in his playing days, captioned, the Philly one, where would Chuck be without the big homies? Well, last night, Chuck responded by straight up getting onto a bus and leaving the Turner Studios. So, that's where we are in the saga of KD versus Barkley.
Yeah.
Nick, do you think Barkley's criticism of KD is fair?
Yes. And Barkley knows it because he dealt with it. Listen, Durant, very interesting picture choices by Durant because he didn't choose the time in Barkley's career where he was the unquestioned bus driver and the best team he was on, Phoenix. So, listen, I want to talk a little Barkley and then bigger picture here, Brew. Because Charles Barkley in 1993, with the best team he was ever on, to get to the NBA Finals, threw up, go look it up, kiddos, of 44-24 in a Game 7 to make the NBA Finals. In those NBA Finals, he averaged 27, 13, and 6, and they lost in 6 on a last-second shot. And guess what? He got criticized for not doing enough and for not closing out on Paxson. That Paxson shot, Barkley got lost, got blown by, defense collapses, and then, unfortunately, Barkley kind of made the same mistake 4 years later on the Stockton shot against Houston before he ended up, or against Utah once he was with Houston. But at that point, he wasn't the bus driver. So Barkley knows very, very well you can be a great player, and with that comes great expectations, and even if you have great accomplishments, if you don't get it done, you get criticized. But Barkley's bigger point is the one that I think is undeniable, and it does apply to Durant. Sports are harder the more pressure there is. And Durant, when he was at his absolute best, one could argue, was in the least pressurized situation. When he was with Golden State in those finals as massive favorites. And when Durant has faced the most pressure, with one exception, is when oftentimes he hasn't been his best. Up 3-1 to get back to the finals wasn't great against the Warriors when he was with OKC. This year with Brooklyn, when there's pressure, we got to get out around, not great. Now, last year against Milwaukee, he was exceptional. And he was the bus driver. He was the whole bus at that point in the series, played one of the greatest games of his career. So I'm not sitting here and being like, KD can't handle the pressure. But sports are different when you are the guy, you know you're the guy, and you have that sitting on your shoulders. That's what Barkley is saying, and Barkley is obviously correct about that.
Yeah, Nick, I agree with a lot of what you said, and it's fair because let's just keep it real. It's what a lot of people are thinking. I mean, heck, a lot of people have said it. You know, Walt Frazier said, yeah, there's those asterisks, right? But about KD's championships in Golden State. And the asterisks are there because he was not the bus driver, all right? And until he is the bus driver somewhere, as he is in Brooklyn, and wins a championship, he's going to have to wear that, all right? Magic Johnson would have had to wear the tragic Johnson reputation had he not come back and won 3 championships. LeBron would have had to wear the Dallas in 2011 reputation had he not come back and won 4 championships. And KD, it's not a bad, rep to wear. You won 2 titles. You were finals MVP. But don't walk around like you were the bus driver on that team. You got to go prove you can lead a team to it. Now, I'm not going to say because people think there's a bus driver and then there's passengers. But there are also situations where there are co-pilots. And I will say that Kevin Durant and Steph Curry were the co-pilots of that Golden State team. He wasn't just a passenger. And I do think there's a lot of stars that, if they're catch and shoot stars, could have went to that Golden State team and won those championships just like KD did. They might not have been MVP of the finals, but they could have won. But he was a co-pilot because he was arguably the best player on the team. Steph is the key to that team. Steph sets the tone. He sets the culture of selflessness, of egolessness, of ball movement, all of that, just like Tim Duncan did in San Antonio. But I'll say, Nick, that they were co-pilots, and I'm not going to say KD was like a passenger on that. But here's one thing he has here's one thing he has above Barkley. And I love Barkley, Nick. And I'm glad you brought up those numbers because I don't think a lot of the younger people know how great Barkley was. I like Barkley's game better than KD's, really. I mean, he was phenomenal. All right? But the one thing KD has over him, he did win it with his super team. Now, he had a better super team because they were younger, but Olajuwon, the year before Barkley went to Houston, was 27 and 12. Drexler was 18, 7, and 6. And Barkley himself in Phoenix was 23 and 11. So it's not like, oh, these dudes were walking with canes and they weren't any good anymore. And you said it, Nick. They had a chance to beat Stockton and Malone in the Western Conference Finals, and they lost in 6. And then the next 2 years, they went out in the first round. So that is one thing that KD does have over Barkley, and that he did at least deliver with his super team.
And let me just say one thing, Wilds, that in defense of Durant, and this is where Durant, like, listen, I could help him with some of the social media stuff. Some of our contemporary NBA guys, they understandably in their youth spent time playing basketball. Well, I spent a lot of time studying basketball. Barkley joined the Rockets the year after, or 2 years after, the Rockets came back from a 3-1 deficit on Barkley. Barkley, back-to-back years, was up 2-0 and 3-1 on Dream and lost. And then a year after that was all said and done, joined them. Because at that point in his career, he knew this is the only chance I have to get a title, and I don't judge him for that. And I don't think it's the exact same situation as Durant, but there are some similarities. But Wilds, a lot of these KD discussions, because it has been one of the preeminent debates of the last 10 years in this league, is LeBron and Durant. And this, to me, is a major distinction between them, which is LeBron, has known for at least the last 12 years, if not the last 15 years, man, if we lose, I'm the one catching it. Maybe with the exception of the 2015 finals and the 2018 finals when the teams were so overmatched because of injury or roster. But in general, goes into every playoff series knowing no matter what I do, if we lose, it's coming on me. And he's performed. He has risen to the level of expectation with the exception of 2011. Durant hasn't had to deal with that for a lot of his career. In OKC, when they lost, people blamed Russ. In Golden State, they were never going to lose. And now in Brooklyn, when if they lose, it is on him. They haven't gotten out of round 2. That's a real thing. Like, that is the accurate history of it. And I think that's one of the points Barkley's making.
Okay. Do you think it would be fair if you were to help Kevin Durant with his social media? If I was to help Kevin Durant with his social media, I would post my 2 finals MVP trophies. And say, are you sure? Oh, this was Steph's team? It's Klay's team. It's Draymond's team. It's Steve Kerr's team. Well, he won back-to-back finals MVPs. And everyone just dismisses it like he was along for the ride. No. You watch those finals, he was obviously the best player. He obviously stepped up. He's obviously the focal point of that offense. And everyone's just rewriting history because of the Warriors prior to that.
He wasn't the focal point of the offense.
He's got back-to-back finals.
He wasn't the focal point.
No, that's true.
Steph was the focal point.
Here's what I would say to that.
Steph was the guy that teams game planned for.
Correct. And first of all, nobody dismisses it. I've had listened all week.
Everyone dismisses it.
2 of my favorite basketball people in the world, Zach Lowe and Bill Simmons, keep calling KD top 10 all time. All time. Better than Shaq or Hakeem or Duncan or Bird. You got to pick some people to kick out of that top 10. So I don't think people are dismissing it. The problem, Brew, is this. On that Warriors team, the best defender was Draymond Green. The best shooter was Steph Curry. The best clutch player was Klay Thompson. And the best leader was Steph Curry. Now, you can argue the best all-around everything player, do-it-all, Durant, fine. You can argue. And in those finals, he averaged 35 points per game in the finals. He was exceptional.
Yeah,
he
pretty good.
met the challenge and exceeded it. Nobody is dismissing that. That's the thing is, people, you don't get to be like, I want to be considered neck and neck or above Larry Bird, and then be like, well, people can't parse the resume. Yes, they can.